Hello everyone. If you look at the progress humans have made in the space industry, a big chunk of credit must go to a long period of competition between the US and Soviet Union during the Cold War era, today known as the space race. Many significant milestones in space exploration and technology were achieved during this period. It also had countless impacts, not just on the space industry. In this episode, let's understand the space race in a very simple but interesting manner. So, after World War II ended, two superpowers emerged with ideological, political, and military differences. These were the US and the Soviet Union. As you already might know, the US was spreading their ideology of capitalism, while the Soviet Union was spreading communism. This marked the beginning of the Cold War. But this wasn't an actual war. Instead, it was an ideological one. Tensions between the two countries were high, and both countries wanted to make themselves stronger than the other. Both were trying to develop stronger weapons so they could defend themselves from the other. To achieve this, they started developing ICBMs, short for the Intercontinental Ballistic Missile. These missiles had the capability to deliver nuclear weapons from one continent to the other. Now the ICBMs went above the atmosphere to reach the target fast and quickly. Both countries realized if the other had the capability to go to space, they would have a massive advantage in terms of weaponry. So both countries set out to launch their vehicles into space and gain an advantage over the other. Fast forward to October 4th, 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1, the world's first artificial satellite, into space. Next, just less than a month later, the Soviets launched another successful mission, Sputnik 2, this time with a dog inside of it, named Laika. Then, 1 month later, on January 31st, 1958, the US caught up by launching Explorer 1, an American satellite, into space. Due to the intense competition amongst the two countries at this time, massive amounts of innovation was happening. Coming back to the timeline, just 3 years later, the Soviets launched cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin on April 12, 1961, making Yuri Gagarin the first human in space. The US responded with its first human in space, Alan Shepard, who made a suborbital flight on May 5, 1961. After these achievements, the US announced they will put a man on the moon. In a speech on May 25, 1961, President John F. Kennedy challenged the United States to land a man on the moon and return him safely before the end of the decade. After countless pre-missions and years of training, the US successfully completed the Apollo 13 mission in 1969. Astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin became the first and second humans to walk on the moon. Many say this event marked the end of the space race, but many events were still yet to come. Soviet cosmonaut Alexei Leonov conducted the first spacewalk in 1965. Soon after, both nations established their own space stations. The US built Skylab space station and the Soviets built the Salyut. Soon enough, both nations started collaborating with each other in the space sector. The US and Soviet spacecraft docked in space during the Apollo-Soyuz mission, symbolizing an end in Cold War tensions and the beginning of international space cooperation. The period of the space race left many legacies behind. First were the significant technological advancements. Many key space technologies were developed, including communication satellites, weather satellites, and various spin-off technologies. Also, the space achievements of both superpowers had a profound impact on global perceptions of technological prowess and prestige. The space race inspired many countries around the world to have their own space program and develop the space industry. After the space race and Cold War, space collaboration among countries boomed, and international projects were planned, like the International Space Station. Apart from the international collaboration and technological advancements, the space race also had many other impacts on the world. One of them is Earth observation. Due to the technologies used in satellites, scientists today can monitor the environment, identify natural disasters, and study climate change. Also, the space race has called for powerful and reliable computers for navigation, trajectory calculations, and data analysis. This led to advancements in computer technology benefiting various industries at once. Believe it or not, the space race has led to an increase in scientific education and inspired generations of scientists, engineers, and students. Not to mention the many other impacts of the space race, like economic impact and military implications. In summary, the space race was a crucial period in human history, pushing the boundaries of scientific and technological advancements while having a transformative impact in so many ways. Thank you for listening.